and welcome to Thinking is Free, proudly brought to you by Chinmaya Mission New Zealand.
Hari Om, welcome back. My name is Akash, and in the studio today we have Pooja and Ishanji.
Once again, Hari Om.
It seems that Pooja didn't get the dress code memo.
Yeah, you guys are on a group chat without me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yellow day today.
I'll get him next time. It's all right. I actually don't even own anything yellow.
Why not?
Oh, you're
We're
shopping
just
after
talking
this?
about this, we were just saying whether people might or might not wear yellow if we were to make something.
I think I'm averse to this is probably the brightest thing I own, and this is a thing for me to wear. It's a big deal. It's just a hoodie, but the fact that it's so bright, I always wear drab colors. Blend in.
Since wearing yellow,
Yeah.
more with even the Human Now, and then it just feels good.
People say that when they wear color, but to do it, it's hard.
I don't think I'd wear anything super neon highlighted yellow, green, pink.
Yeah.
I think yellow's far golden yellows is far enough.
Yeah. Catches the eye though. You guys look great.
I really can't add to this conversation because this is my joy with
This
that
guy's just
light.
one color, that's it.
I have to wear it.
Look at us in our choice.
If it ain't broke, why fix it, right?
Privileges of having choices on clothes. First world problems.
Even then, I choose black.
Yeah. But that's what I always resort to,
Yeah.
It's just shades.
But it's clean.
White, grey, black.
Yeah, it's clean. And it's it goes with everything.
Mm.
Anyway, that's not why we're here today.
No, we're actually here to talk about how to act meaningfully without purpose. I have spoken to people from time to time, and some a lot of people out there actually struggle to find their purpose or what their one thing is.
Yeah.
How do we act if we don't know it? How do we continue to act meaningfully? Can we? I don't know.
I think so, but I know. Ishanji, do you want to start this one?
No, how about you
Yeah,
start? And then I'll
I
share my thoughts on it as we go along.
Okay. I think you can.
Mhm.
I think it's from everyone I've kind of surrounded myself with. I think it is quite rare for people to know their purpose. I haven't met a lot of people that have been able to find out what their purpose is, but I still think they do lead quite meaningful lives, and they contribute to society. And so I think their actions are still meaningful. So yeah, I think it is definitely possible, but I think they have a clear idea on what values they hold dear. So even though their purpose is not clear, I think they have ideals and values that are important to them, and they try to live by that, even though they don't know exactly what their purpose on this earth may be. And even for me, I think before I discovered my purpose, I'd like to think I was still acting meaningfully prior to finding out.
Mhm.
And Make It Happen obviously helped me discover my purpose. But even looking back on when I was trying to discover my purpose, I was always living it. It's just that I didn't know. So I think those actions were just as meaningful, even if I didn't recognize my purpose. So I think
What
yes.
is your purpose?
My purpose is to give love.
It's quite simple.
Yeah.
Because I often feel we play it up to be this thing
Yes.
that, is because we think we don't know it.
Yeah.
It's above and beyond our capability right
Yeah.
now. But actually it's quite simple because it's already within who we are. It's just
Yeah.
recognizing that, right?
100%. I think also I think it's so intimidating. The word purpose is also so intimidating to people, and they feel they have to have something to show for it. I think for me, when I finally boiled it down to I just have to give love, and that's when I'm the happiest. That's what makes me feel purposeful. I was oh, that's really simple, and that's something I do a lot anyway. I just am now able to do it more consciously because I'm aware of what gives me the most joy. But yeah,
It's interesting, the word that we use was meaningful, right? And we say, I'm trying to find meaning in life, and until I find that meaning, my life is still meaningful. I think there's two different approaches to this word meaningful. One is from a personal sense, is it meaningful to me? And that's a big question mark. But in terms of, is it meaningful to the world around? Yeah,
Right.
sure. Every action does have some meaning. We contribute constantly towards people, to society, to the environment, to a greater or lesser degree, varying for each individual. So, yes, we can find meaning in every action that we do, but is it meaningful to each one of us? Until we have a clear sight of what our purpose is, there is that lack of clarity and we do not find meaning in there, right? And therefore we are searching for a purpose. We find it unfulfilling because that meaning is not clear to us. Why am I doing it? Yes, others are benefiting, but it doesn't hold any significance to me.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I also think like if we're saying that there's a reason we're on this earth, there's a purpose for which we are born and the purpose for which we exist. So even if we don't fully recognize what that purpose is, we're still living it to some degree. So
Are we?
But wouldn't we be like, wouldn't we automatically be drawn to those things that are our purpose? You know, like we're going to be naturally, I don't know. Okay, this is the way I'm thinking of it. Just because when I've like looked retrospectively at my life prior to knowing what my purpose was, I still had moments of like that feeling of fulfillment. And I had those moments of like where I felt like really just like I had like really like pure joy, as pure as I've ever felt it. And that was before I knew what my purpose was.
Moments of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
moments of it.
Yeah, isn't that where like your personality and swabhav comes? Like, doesn't that carry through?
So our swabhava or our personality will come through no matter what we do.
Yeah.
But until and unless that's clear to us, does it help us? And
I think so.
So we're saying that it only works once we know what
Yeah,
our
that can't be
personality is?
it.
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Wow. So what? Before that, we're just mindless?
It seems to be we're functioning, we're doing something, but we really don't know why we are doing it. And no matter what we
Okay.
do,
Yeah.
it doesn't add up to any significance to us. We're not content with it. We are not fulfilled by it. We may have achieved a lot, but all of that is insignificant to us because I don't know why I've been doing it or why I'm doing any of it.
Yeah, so before we know it, we're just going to keep going from A to B to Z to M, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But it's only once we're aware of it that it starts flowing in line, right? In order.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Mm. But I think what Pooja is trying to say isn't going all over the place still better than zero?
Yeah.
But isn't going all over the place as good as zero? Because it doesn't add
You're
anything
saying it
to
like
me?
averages to zero.
It's a zero-sum game because I do so much, but it doesn't
So you
mean
might as well
anything for
not
me.
do anything.
Yeah.
No. Hang on, wait. I think just because like, okay, the fact that you exist, right? You're breathing in this world. You have a purpose. If you didn't have a purpose, you just would be dead. Like you wouldn't even be
No, we
here.
have desires. And we are
Am I
busy.
just desires keeping me alive?
Of course.
My purpose is keeping me
No.
alive.
It is our desires that keep us alive, that keep us running from point A to point B to point C to point D. And as long as we are busy fulfilling our desires, we don't find fulfillment.
Wouldn't our desires be taking us from A to Z to B to M to...
Well,
It's only when you have purpose that it's in order?
no, when you have a purpose, you'll be able to work through your desires and push aside all those are irrelevant
Right.
and work towards those that really matter to you.
Mm-hmm.
So until we find out our purpose, we're just living based on desires. I
Okay.
don't know whether you can call it meaningful. I don't think so. Yes, we are doing a lot, but does it add meaning to my life? Perhaps not.
So, okay, I'm just thinking like for all those years I spent coming to class without knowing my purpose, I still think that spiritually I did make progress despite not knowing my purpose. And that to me was meaningful.
Yes.
Like I think I understood.
In retrospect, now that you have found your purpose, but if, let's say, you've been attending classes for 10, 15 odd years and still life is not clear to you, for you it's just like, yes, I'm doing this, but I don't know why I'm doing it. It all seems to be a big waste. Isn't it? Including spiritual classes.
It's like taking the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink, right? For 15 years, you've been taken to the water.
Yeah.
Why have you not taken a sip?
And until we actually drink water, what was the purpose of it? It did not really add up to anything, did it? Only after we dip into the water and drink it, then yes, walking all those miles to the pond was fruitful. Prior to that, really.
Are we getting confused where we're saying, like you can be doing some action, let's say helping the community, right? You can still do that meaningfully, but in that moment, but
it'll be meaningful for other people,
yeah,
not meaningful for you.
How is it not meaningful for you? Seva is meaningful. It has an impact on you. It's like,
yeah, but I think it's not like on a magnified level, right? Where this, like when it's with, this is my purpose and this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is 100%. And then your mind is right there.
It's concentrated.
It's concentrated. It's just exactly who, otherwise you could still be, I'm a good person. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It's cool. I'm just doing it because I've got the time. It's all these.
And the resources.
Yeah.
And this is my habit. This is who I am.
I think there's a lot more meaning. I don't know.
So it's a bit like this, right? Being born and brought up in Indian households,
Yes.
a Hindu household, puja can be something, not this puja, worship can be something that is ingrained into our daily schedule, right? Whether it's just 2 or 3 minutes of sitting in front of the altar and saying your prayers. Is it meaningful? Always? Not until we find a purpose behind it. It can just be mechanical action because I have been trained to do so.
Okay. So on that point, there are still benefits to completing the action in itself.
No doubt about that.
So it does have meaning. It may be not as meaningful as if you have found your purpose. I'm not arguing that, but I just like to know that it's just not meaningful at all.
If it's not serving its purpose, is it really meaningful? When things are done with a purpose, they have a completely different outcome to it. I can cook food with the purpose of feeding someone. I can cook food and just look at it and appreciate it. It does not really serve the purpose of what food is there for.
Okay.
Did I add meaning? Yes, I could take some beautiful photographs and put it on Instagram and people give me some likes for it.
Yeah.
But is that the purpose of food? We did a lot. We created something very beautiful. Did it really benefit us though? I wouldn't say that.
Okay. I'd like to go back
Yeah.
and talk about those pockets of joy that I felt pre-purpose. And this is not to say that I'm like happy 100% of the time now knowing my purpose. Like I still got a lot of work to do to actively act on it all the time. But prior to knowing my purpose, I still had moments of really like just like calm, like happiness, like moments where I'd just be like, oh my God, like life is just great. Like, and there were still pockets of that because, and I retrospectively, when I look at it, I know that those were moments where my purpose was fulfilled in those instances. And so I felt fulfillment and that was what I was feeling. And that's the feeling that you then chase, right? Without knowing in which direction you're headed. But even before I knew what my purpose was, I still felt that. So were those moments not meaningful?
Only you can answer those, right?
No, I'm saying they were.
Before recognizing them as your purpose,
Yes.
how much meaning did they hold for you?
I mean, I just knew that they made me happy, right? And that's the feeling you chase without knowing exactly what it was. So maybe so I think that the issue then became that I didn't know how to continue that feeling throughout my life without just repeating that exact action over and over again, you know? So for example, like there's moments when you do seva, like at the mission and stuff, when you have like a really good day where like all the volunteers come together and everything just works and everything flows really well and everyone's got really good energy, and those moments you feel like really good. But like the next time you do seva, you might not feel like that exact same feeling. So like you're chasing something, but you don't know exactly what it is. So that's where like you kind of have you're going back and forth and jumping like A to Z to B to whatever. So I think that like almost like hectic feeling, it comes from not knowing your purpose. But I still think I felt fulfillment without knowing where it came from. I still felt the feeling. Does that make sense?
What do you think, Akash?
I think just in your example, when you're talking about everyone coming to seva, to do seva, right? And that first time you feel it, I think it still comes, like what I was thinking is that it comes down to you still have a purpose behind why you're doing that seva.
Yes.
And that's where that meaning comes from.
Yes.
Otherwise, like Ishanji is saying, you're just moving a wheelbarrow.
Imagine there would have been times where, okay, let's not take your example. Let's say there is a child in a family who has been forced to come for that seva,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And they are doing it as well. Because they do not see the purpose behind it. Are they adding value to what is being done? Yes, for sure. Is it meaningful for us? Yes. Is it meaningful for them? Not really. They don't see any meaning behind it because they're not aligned with the purpose.
Spading or walking.
Because we have been there, right?
Yeah.
We have been tagged along with our parents to
Of
do
course.
things
Yeah.
which we do not enjoy.
Yeah.
Because we do not see the purpose in it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And those very same things now, when we do it, because it's aligned with the purpose, we find so much joy in it. So purpose is not actually an action or an outcome. It's actually a mindset. There's a great amount of clarity as to why am I doing something or what is it for? Purpose is not doing sevas. Right? Seva is that which leads us to our purpose.
Okay. So can I say that maybe on a micro scale, I had a purpose. Maybe my macro scale purpose was not clear, but I had a purpose in performing that specific action. And therefore, I felt a sense of fulfillment. So can I get fulfillment from achieving like a micro purpose?
Why do we need to call it a purpose? Why can't we just work with this idea that we live on a day-to-day basis, fulfilling desires, what we like doing, and whenever that expectation is met, when the desire is fulfilled, if we do find a temporary sense of satisfaction, fulfillment, fleeting, but yes, we do. There's no denying it. But what we are seeking for is a more robust sense of fulfillment and contentment that pervades our entire being and our entire day, which does not leave me high and dry after a momentary experience.
Okay. I'm still mulling. Akash, if you have any questions.
I think reflecting on my own personal journey, like for me, I just believe in designing positive spaces and having positive conversations.
Yeah.
And once I knew that, for me, it's like, it just makes things easier. And everything I do in life is just about that. And yeah, I'm just trying to think like what I'm trying to think is, how do I help people recognize, like, for you, it's that simple. It's just love. For me, it's positivity and radiating happiness.
Yeah.
How do we help people to figure that out?
Because it's unique to each one of us, I think it does require a bit of introspection.
And
Of-
also, how quickly should, like, is this an urgent thing that everyone should just
Yeah,
Do-
that's what. Yeah,
Yes, it is an absolute urgent thing that we should all be working on. Because it gives meaning to life. It gives us a sense of direction. So that our efforts are channelized towards that which is going to bring us peace and happiness, rather than doing so many things and at the end of the day getting nowhere.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, I feel like if it's not urgent, then it just becomes day to day.
yeah,
Repeat, you know?
Yeah.
And you're just moving through the motions.
yeah,
But it's simple. It's like, what at your core, what actually makes you happy? What do you believe in? You know, what are you going to fight for?
Yeah.
You don't have to go and change the world, I don't think. I think if you can change just your way of thinking and how you can help people outside of you and I, you know, I think that's enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
We kind of blow this thing up. Purpose is to be like magnificent, and that I'm going to be trending number 1 on Instagram
Yeah.
because, you know, I've got the best purpose. But it doesn't have to be like, those people don't start there. Those people start just by, how do I help my neighbor?
Yeah. Gurudev's got a very nice quote. He says, if you can't do great things, do small things in a great way.
Yeah.
Right? And it starts with being you, as in discovering what's really me. And for that, as I said, we were getting into it, a bit of introspection, a bit of analysis and insights into ourselves, and sifting away all the influences of peers and social media and society and family to really discover who we are. I don't think we spend enough time discovering who we are. We just are in this mad rush to become something, to do something, to achieve something. But where we are going, most people do not really know, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And the quicker we are able to figure that out, I think the quicker we'd be able to settle down in our own being and be comfortable with who we are, rather than constantly trying to become and imitate someone else.
I definitely got that sense when, like, that moment where you kind of figure it out and all the pieces kind of click together. You do feel a little bit more like confident. It's quite strange to like describe it, but you kind of like are like, oh, like it all makes sense, and like I know what to do now.
Yeah.
And so then when it comes to like worrying about like other people's opinions, like it still gets to me from time to time, but like overall I've definitely noticed a much more like, it's like a quiet confidence in myself, which I've never really had before, and it's like quite empowering. So I definitely appreciate how meaningful it is to even find your purpose. That in
Yeah.
itself is quite meaningful. But I'd just like to, on behalf of those who maybe haven't found their purpose yet, maybe just ask a question about what actions can they do. So obviously to find your purpose, you've touched on that. You've got your introspection and stuff. But while you're doing all that, is there any way to continue to act meaningfully, to benefit yourself, to, you know, kind of help yourself?
I think one of the beginning points of this journey into discovering ourselves and a purpose starts with satsang,
Okay.
right? Get yourself associated with a crowd which is working on themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Most of the time, we are in the company of people who are just running, fulfilling desires. Most of us do not pause to think about
Yeah.
what we are doing, why are we doing it,
Mm.
and to take a step back and think and evaluate before re-engaging in whatever you're doing. You don't have to stop doing it,
Yeah.
but that pause is really important. And if you're in New Zealand, then come for the Make It Happen workshop. I think it's just a fantastic 6-day workshop where you're cut off from your general life.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to take a pause, break away, and you have that time, an intense time to yourself where you're able to think. And in a guided manner, it's not random thinking. It's guided by a spiritual guide, a guru, to help you discover what your purpose is, who you are, and what's most important to you.
Yeah.
So what can they do? Start with satsang. If you can come for Make It Happen, then yes, do that. Introspect, reflect. What's important to you? What is it that really fulfills you? And what's stopping you from working for that exclusively? Why the mad rush for so many other things as well?
Yep. And I think it doesn't have, like, for some people, I feel like it might make them go through and make a huge drastic life change.
Yeah.
But actually, it's not going to change significantly.
Yeah.
You can still stay in your line of work.
Yeah.
I think you keep the same family and the same friends. I think just your outlook towards them and the way you serve them, that lens changes slightly. And even if you don't know, I think it's also just let's like take love, for example, take helping people, take sharing knowledge, all these different things, like you might not know, but naturally one of them might come naturally to you.
Yeah.
And so be like, okay, I'm just going to try this, and then inquire into it. And like, I think the good thing with the mission is that the mission teaches you how to have that spiritual umbrella over it. So how do you do that? How do you use what you're good at and what you are interested in? Because I think also what you're naturally interested in, you'll gravitate to it, and learning about it comes naturally.
Yeah.
And you take it in naturally. And then once you've got that kind of that spiritual umbrella, then you can learn to how you can magnify that. But yeah, I think just starting with small steps is just figure out what do you find is what makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And like, what do you feel good? How do you feel when like you do something for someone else or someone does something for you? Very simple, very small.
Yeah.
And then you don't need to know the answers, I think.
Yeah.
They'll come.
It's the questioning that's important, not the answers.
Yeah.
And, I was just thinking in my head while Akash was speaking, whether it's your purpose or my purpose over here, I think it can all be covered under one single word, which is sharing. Whether it's love, whether it's your talents, whether it's my knowledge, it's a sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It's now that purpose of sharing is common. I think what we need to recognize, and this is where spirituality really helps, it helps us channelize our abilities towards a greater goal, more than just me. And it is that sense of sharing and giving towards totality which brings happiness. It was just, do we have time?
Yeah, we still got time.
Okay. Just yesterday, in one of my classes for Bhagavad Gita, we came across this verse. And the section looks at how to live and grow sustainably. And the one prerequisite for sustainable living and growth, which also implies sustainable happiness, is to live in the spirit of sacrifice,
Mm.
in the spirit of yajna, where I'm offering my capabilities towards totality. And if that is done, the totality will look after you and guide you. You don't need to worry about yourself. And it's such a powerful idea where each one is made to think for themselves and act in a way where it's not about what will I get out of it. It's more about what can I give.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when our thinking expands to more than just me and it starts thinking about everyone, we recognize that everything that I need comes to me unasked for anyways. It's all provided for. All I need to do is just empty myself in terms of just give, and give. And what we find ourselves is happiness fills us more and more within. And we think happiness is by taking more.
Mm.
And spirituality points out that no, the more you give, the more you empty yourself out, you'll find happiness within. And it was just a wonderful idea which we seem to overlook, especially when working in the world outside. I think we've become a society where the constant focus is what will I get out of it.
Yeah.
And Bhagwan says, Yagyarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. Any action that is done outside the yagya spirit is binding and will bring you sorrow. But if you act in this spirit of yagya, giving and keeping the totality in mind, you'll find happiness. You'll find that your way of living, your growth is all sustainable. You can continue to do it for a unforeseeable future because the totality is kept in mind at all times, not the individuality. And so whatever the totality needs will be done.
With that in mind, just if we circle back to the question,
Yeah.
if we're acting in that spirit of sacrifice and giving outwardly, then is it fair to say that we might have small glimpses where it is meaningful, but actually once we recognize what our purpose is, then boom, that's magnified.
Yep. And we often find that we find those really fulfilling moments when we've shared something, we've given something, or sometimes it may be received, but it is in a mutual environment of sharing and caring. It's not self-centered.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very good indicator as to where to look for your purpose. It will always be towards totality, but how, that's for each one of us to discover.
Very good. Puja, anything else to add?
No, that makes sense. I feel a lot more like heartened about it. I was starting to feel really disheartened in the middle of that episode. But no, I feel good now.
Yeah, I think it was a nice way, and we circled back to,
Yeah.
figuring out actually it can be meaningful, but it's just maybe not as intense.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing is actually sharing and giving.
Yeah.
And that's where that meaning is. It's just, I think, recognizing when you're giving, when you're going through all those different types of sharing and giving, is which one like comes naturally and you feel fits your personality.
Yeah.
Hone into that.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find through that's where your purpose comes.
And we find that when we figure out a purpose and we're acting in line with it, we find giving is actually enriching us.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me poorer. I'm not worse off. I'm better off sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I have so much more than what I began with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm feeling good right now. That was a lovely, lovely episode. I hope whoever's listening is just, has taken some value from what we shared. And if you feel like there is someone who might need help to discover their purpose, then please, by all means, send this episode their way. And like we've always said as well, if there is further inquiry or someone is looking for further inquiry, to just come along to
Our classes, to our
classes.
center. There's books, there's people. Join in.
And if you really want to take it to the next level, we've got Make It Happen happening next year
Yes.
in
April.
April.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so if you'd like more details about that, then please do get in touch with us as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Hariom.
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 Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Thinking is Free, proudly brought to you by Chinmaya Mission New Zealand. For more information on events, courses, Seva projects and study groups, please visit chinmaya.org.nz. Hariom.